Hello all of you. In this session, we'll talk about Active Directory objects. So let's start the session, guys. So we'll talk about AD objects, or we say Active Directory objects. We short ADDS objects. Now, what is the meaning of ADDS object is? Like, objects means whatever we can create in the AD. That is known as objects. Object means like user accounts, computer accounts, OU, sites. These are the AD objects we have. So whatever you can create in the AD, that is known as the object. Like number one is user accounts. Number second, we have a computer accounts. Computer accounts. Number third, we have a groups. Number fourth, we have OUs. Number fifth, we have sites. So these are some AD objects we have. Every AD object has their own work or own identity. So if we talk about first the user account, so these are the identities, as you can see that these are the AD identities. So if we talk about the user account, computer accounts, groups, OU, sites, these are the identities. So if we talk about the first, so let's start with first user accounts. User accounts. Now if we talk about the user account, so it's a kind of identity we have. Identity means it's a employee identity we have. Okay, so it is a employee identity, like whatever employees you have in your company. So it's a employee identity. So with the help of user accounts, AD maintains the user information, like your user first name, last name, display name, or passwords, or you have whatever permissions you can define on that. So all these with the help of user accounts, all these things maintained by your Active Directory. Now we'll talk about the user accounts more. So user accounts has two types, as you can see that. We have a types of user accounts. Not only two, we have three types of user accounts. So number one, we have local user account. Local user, we have domain users. Okay, and we have a built-in users. Built-in users. So we have three types of users: local users, domain users, and built-in users. So we'll talk about the local users. Local users works only in the workgroup environment. Like if your server works in, or if your client works in workgroup, so in that kind we using the local users. Because if you create any user account in workgroup, so that kind of user is known as local users. So these users are only works in local workgroup. You can say that workgroup network. If your server or client works in workgroup network, so we can create local users in our clients as well. Like if you have Windows 10 or Windows 11, Windows 8, you're able to create the local users, and if you have a servers, you also create the local users. Now we'll talk about the domain users. So domain users, you can say that these users are only works in domain network. We already talked about domain network. Like if you have we have abc.com, xyz.com, like google.com, yahoo.com, microsoft.com. So these are the domain networks we have. So if you have a domain network, means you have a AD, and you can create users on AD. So it means we are working as a domain network, and we are creating a domain users. Built-in users, which is automatically created. These users are automatically created in workgroup as well as domain, both workgroup as well as domain network. Like if I give you, like when we're going to install the server, so it shows you administrator user, which is automatically created. So same thing, when you're going to create a domain network also, so we have an administrator user which is automatically created. So we have a in our workgroup also we have an administrator user, and in our domain also we have an administrator user. So this is the built-in users we have. So built-in users which is automatically created. We're not able to create manual in that case. So this is what we have, the built-in user accounts. So this is what we have to differentiate, as you can see that. Now if I'll showing you these things, just wait for it. Now you can see that I just start my server. So by default my server running in the work group. As you can see, if I open my this PC properties and check over there, so as you can see that if I go to advanced system settings, or I go for only system protection, and as you can see that it shows you work group. So by default my server running in work group, and it's a server. If you check over the top, it's a server. As you can see, server 2022 data center evaluation. Okay, now if I want to create a users, so how we can go for that? I need to open computer management. Okay, so we have a command also. We write over there com mgmt.msc. Now we have the option local users and groups, because we are running in the work group. So as I already told you that in the work group environment we create the local users. So this is the users and groups option we have. So we click on users, we have an administrator user which is automatically created, and as you can see that administrator is a built-in account. Now if I want to create a manual, if I want to create a user, so I just right click over there, click on new user, and then we can define the username. Like I give user1, and I need to give, I don't need to give the full name is also give you the user1, and that's it. Give the password. The password I give ABC. Okay, and then if you choose the first option, user must change the password at next login. So what happens now? Once a user is created, okay, once you are going to log in with the user, they ask you to change the password at very first time. But right now I don't want to do this. I don't want that user is able to change the password. So I go for the user cannot change the password. Okay, and then click on create, and then close. As you can see that user 1 is created successfully. So like this, how we can create the local user accounts. Now I'm showing you how we can create the domain users. Like before I showing you the local users, so I was showing you how we can log in it. I just simple go to sign out with this, and if I try to log in, so I'm able to log in this also. Like this, they shows me the user 1. Now I click on user 1 and I give the password, and I just going to log in like this. So this is the way how we can log in. So on the servers, we also create the work group. In the work group, we create the local user accounts only. Okay, now what is the difference in that? Like if I showing you the difference, so difference is that, like if you, like imagine if I have a network, like we have a multiple, like this is my switch, and we have a multiple devices like this. Now this is my switch, and this is the, like we have a server, this is my server, and we have a client machines, like we have a client 01, we have a client 02, and we have a client 03. Now all are connected with the same switch like this, and all are working in the work group. This is my complete work group network. As you can see that this is my complete work group network. Work group network. Okay, all computers are working in the work group. So now imagine now over there in this server, I create one user. Okay, like imagine my username is user1, which I just now created on the server. Now in the work group environment, if I create user in the server, but now this user is only login in this server only, because it's working in the work group environment. So so if I try to log in this user in the client, it's not possible. Why? Because we are running in the work group environment. In the work group network, user profile is user profile is automatically created as a local profile. So where on a particular computer or a particular device where you create the user, you're able to log in on that device only. You're not able to log in other devices. This is happening in the work group network. Now if the comparison, if I trying to comparison the other thing, like imagine if I have a domain network. So like this is my server, as you can see that this is my server, and we have a switch, and then we have a client like this. Now As you can see that this is my server. So I have a server 2019, and this is the we have a domain network. Okay, so this server is a domain controller DC, and my domain name is, we can see that over there, my domain name is abc.local. I use this domain name. Okay, and this is my switch, and we have a clients like this. Like this. Like this. Now I can connect all this a network. We are using the LAN network right now, so I connect all these devices with the same switch like this. Okay. Now what happens in that case? Now imagine that I'm going to create user over there. Now I'm going to create user like user 2 over there. Okay. Now in the domain, what happens? Now this server is running in the domain network. Okay. And what I do, I add all my clients in the domain network too. So all these clients are using the same, adding the same domain also. So like imagine all my clients, all these clients are running in the domain abc.local. So what happens in that case? All these so in the domain, what happens, like if this user is I created on the server side, and now this user is able to log in with the client 1 as well, client 2 as well, client 3 as well, and client 4 as well. It doesn't matter for that. This is a difference. As you can see that in the work group, which particular system you can create the user is logging only that particular system. But in the domain, the user is able to access anywhere in the particular domain. So if you create user in the server, on the server, and this user is able to access any client machine, and this user is able to log in any client machine in the same domain network. So if you have if you have 100 client machines, but this user 2 is able to access all 100 client machines. This user is able to log in with the help of all 100 client machines, any particular machine. It's not like that only this user is created on the server only, so this user is only login in the server. No, this user is able to log in anywhere inside the domain network. So this is what we have, the difference between the domain users and the local users. And one thing also, remember that user 1 is a workgroup user or local user. So user 1 is not able to log in in the domain network. Remember these things, because it's a local user, and domain users are not able to log in the local users as well, local workgroup network as well. As you can see that your local users are not able to log in the domain network, and domain users are not able to log in the workgroup network. It's a vice versa. So remember these things also. Now I'm showing you how we create domain users. Okay, so now it's a domain server. So like if you see that, if I go to properties, this we see properties, and if I check over there, so as you can see that we have a system protection over there. We can see we have this server is running in a domain. My domain name is abc.local. Not to worry, in upcoming lectures I'll showing you how we can create the domain controllers. Okay, so how we can create the domain network and how we can create the domain controller. So this is a domain controller right now, and my domain network name is abc.local. Okay, now I need to going to create or I need to I'm going to create a domain users, as you can see that, with the help of Active Directory users and computers. We have some tools actually over there. So okay, if I was showing you, like if I click on start over there and go to admin tools, Windows admin tools, over there we have the options like Active Directory Admin Center, Active Directory users and computers. These are two components or two tools we have: AD Admin Center, Administrative Center, and AD users and computers. With the help of these two tools, we are able to create the AD objects in domain network. So first I'm showing you how we can create the AD user accounts with the help of Active Directory user and computers. So I click on it, and this is what we have, the Active Directory user and computers. I just expand this. This is my abc.local, and we have the option users, as you can see that. Okay, and some default user is automatically created, so administrator user is automatically created, as you can see that. Okay, and rest all are the groups. And now I'm going to create a user. Now click on new and go to user, and I'm going to create a user 2 now, user 2, and now to give the login name. Login name is also user 2. Login name is through with the help of this name be able to log in with the user, login the user. Okay, so if, like, imagine if my first name is user 1 and I'm defined user login name is user 2, so my user log with the help of user login name, my user is able to log in. So if I give login name user 2, so with the help of user 2 name, my user is able to log in. So remember these things. The user 2 @abc.local, it's a full name of my user. Now click on next. Now I need to define the password. So the password is, I define the password, and the same thing. I uncheck this. I want user cannot change the password. Now click on next. Now in domain, by default, your password is automatically expire in 42 days. By default days is 42. You can extend and decrease the days as well as per your requirement. So I choose this one. User cannot change password. Click on next and click on finish. Now as you can see that the user 2 is created. Okay, like this. Now if I go to user 2 properties over there, so we have so many things are there. Now it shows me journal. So in journal it shows me first name, last name, display. If you want to change anything, you can change also. Now click on address. So you can define all the address of the user, and then account. So over there we can change the logon name. Okay, we can change these things. User if you want to want that user cannot change the password or password never expires, you can check this option also. So now if you check this option, so what happens? User password is never expires. Okay, and you have the option account disabled option also is there. So if you check this option, so account is disabled, so you're not able to log in this user anymore with the help of this user anymore. If you check this option, account disabled. Now we have the option unlock account. Like imagine if your account is locked, so you can uncheck this option. Once you uncheck this option, your account is automatically unlocked. Now we have the log on hours option. With the help of log on hours, we can define the timing intervals. Like imagine I want that Monday to Friday, this user are able to log in under between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's it. Before 9 a.m. or after 5 p.m., this user is not able to log in this network. So we can define it as per the requirement. Okay, with the help of log on to option, we can map the users, we can map the users systems. Like imagine I have 10 clients. I want that user is only able to log in with client 1. Rest 9 clients, user is not able to log in. User is able to log in only with the client 1. So I can add the client name or computer name where I want to log in this user, and then you can add it. Simple, like this. Okay, and we have the expire option also is there. So if you don't want to use this account anymore, or your user is going to exit your company, so you can or user is going to leave your company, you can use the expire options. Expire means this account is no more, like this. And we have a profile option also is there. So we learn this in upcoming lecture, what is profiles and all. Okay, and then we have a telephone numbers. You can define the telephone number of this user, organization, job title, department, company, manager, name of this user. Then member of groups, which group member, which is this user is member of which group. So we can add the groups over there. All the further options we have. So this is what we have, the concept of user accounts with the help of Active Directory user and computers. Now if I'll showing you other tool, like we have another tool also, Windows Active Directory Administrative Center. So click on it. This is what we have, the another tool. Now if you click on abc.local, over there we have the option new. On the right hand side we have the option user. Okay, now what is the difference between these two is, in the Active Directory user and computers, you only create the user first, and then in the go to properties, and then you can modify the settings. But with the help of Active Directory Administrative Center, it's a form type, as you can say that it's a complete form. You can fill all the information at the same time. You don't need first you can create user and then you need to go right click to the user, go to properties, and then you can fill the information. No, it's not like that in the admin center. In administrative center, what you want to do, you need to fill each and everything in the same page, as you can see that, while creation of the user. But if I talk about the user and computers portal, over there you need to first create the user and then go to the user properties, and then you can fill by clicking one each and every one tab, by clicking a particular tab, and then you can fill the information. But over there it's a complete form type, as you can see that. So I go for, like, user first name is user3, and the logon name is, I go for user3, and then password, you can define the password like this. Now we have a account expires option is there. Password never change, you can say that I want this, user cannot change the password, simple. And then we go for logon hours, logon to option is there. You want to configure at the same time. Now display name, office, email ID, phone numbers, state, city, address, member of, all the things you can configure at the same time while you're going to create the user. This is what we have, the administrative center. Now click on OK once, so you can see that the user is created. So once you click on the users, and over there you can find all three users, user 1, 2 and 3 as well. Need to refresh it. After that it shows you 3 as well. So like this, as you can see that. Okay, so this is what we have, the concept of a user with the help of this. Okay, so like if you want to create a user, simple as that, and you can create the user as a form, you can say that. It's a complete form we have. Okay, so this is the difference between, as you can see that, okay, between these two portals, these two components. Now this is what we have, the user accounts. Now we have the built-in user accounts, which is automatically created, as I already told you. Administrator user is automatically created. This is what we have, the built-in users. So we understand user accounts. Now we'll talk about the computer accounts. Now computer account means that when I'm going to add any computer or any device in the domain, like imagine my domain name is abc.local, okay, and I'm going to add this client 1 in my domain abc.local. So what happens in that case? In the AD, this device account is automatically created. So that account is known as computer account. If this device account is not created, this user is not able to log in on this particular device. It's mandatory that when you're going to add this device in the domain, any device, whether it's a client or a server, if you're going to add this client in the domain, so what happens in that case? That client account is automatically created in your domain controller, in your Active Directory. That kind of account is known as computer accounts. So you can add any device, whether you can add client or whether you can add the Windows machine, Windows OS machine, server OS machine, or any other client as well, even Linux or Unix or any other client you're going to add. Once you add your client in the domain, that client account is automatically created. That account is known as computer accounts. So I'll showing you how we can create it. Okay, so now I have client. As you can see that I have a server. This is my server, and as you already know that it's a domain controller, and it's running in the abc.local domain network, and it's a client, as you can see. So if I just check over there and I go to properties, and you can see that this client is working in workgroup. Okay, so now what I need to do, I need to add this client in the domain. So what happens once I add this client in abc.local domain, this client account is automatically created. So I'll showing you how. So now this client IP address is 100.0.0.2 and the server IP address is 100.0.0.1. So I'm going to the client again and I open this PC properties. And as you can see that over there we have the option change settings. Click on change settings. Over there we have the option change. Now I changed my computer name as well. So I go for this my client 01. So I give the computer name client 01 and the domain name I want to add is abc.local. So as you can see that if I open my server 1 and if I check the domain name with this PC properties, so as you can see that my domain name is abc.local. The same thing in my client I give, because I want that this client I want to join in the abc.local domain. Now click on OK. Now I can see that they're asking me the abc.local credentials. So over there I give administrator, the username who has rights, full rights to manage the domain. So click on OK. Now everything is fine. It shows me welcome to the abc.local domain. So now click on OK. Okay, now they want to ask me to restart this client for changes. Now close, and it's going to restart now. Now you can see that my client is restarted. Now I click on other, and I'm going to log in with my domain administrator user. Okay, and I give my ABC is a domain name and the administrator is a username, and I'm going to log in. So just password. Just a minute. First I log in with my local user. Let's see. Okay. So first I log in with my local user. It's login. Now I sign out. Very first time you need to do like this. Okay. Now sign out, and again now sign in, and now trying a login with the domain administrator. So my domain administrator is ABC, my domain name /administrator, and I'm going to give the password. Now this time you can see that I'm able to log in my domain administrator. Now you can see that I successfully log in with the. Now you can see I successfully log in with the administrator, and it's a domain administrator. Now if I'll check over there. Now previously this client is working is a work group. Now it's a part of domain. As you can see, if I right click over there on this PC and go to properties, and we can check. As you can see that the domain now it's working in a domain abc.local. And if I'm showing you, if I go to client, if I go to my server, and if I check the user account, which is automatically created or not. So I go to admin tools and go to user and computers. Over there, one default container name is computer, which is automatically created. So once I click on computers, over there we can see client 1 computer account is automatically created. So all the computer account is automatically created by default over there. This is the location. So once you add any client in the domain, their computer or their account is automatically created like this. Okay. Now we'll talk about, so we understand both the things, user accounts and computer accounts. Now we'll talk about the groups. So let me open the paint again, a new one. Now we'll talk about the group. So group is what? Group is a container, as you can see that. Groups is what? It is a container. Simple. It is used to contain user accounts. Okay, so why we can create groups? Group is a container. Like imagine if you want to apply permissions. Like imagine I have 10 users. I want to apply permissions all 10 users same permissions. So in that case, we can create a group, and then we can add the user accounts on that, and then we can apply the permissions on files and folders. So if you have a file, so you can go to properties, security, and over there we can add the group, complete group, and give the permission. So so that permission is applied to complete group, and whatever users you have added in that particular group, the permission applied to that also. Okay, so group is a container. Simple. It is used to contain the user accounts. Now we have types of groups also. Like we have types of users, we have types of groups also. So number one, we have a security group, and number second, we have a distribution group, and number third, we have a built-in group. Built-in groups. So these are the three types of groups we have. Now we'll talk about the security group. The security group is a kind of a group. If you want to provide the security, like you want to apply permissions, so in that case we can create the security group. So with the help of security group, we are able to apply the permissions. If we talk about the distribution group, the distribution group is only able to manage email enabled accounts. So if you have a email enabled accounts, email enabled account means the accounts who has email facilities. So if you want to manage those email enabled accounts, user accounts, in that case we can use distribution group. So if you create a distribution group, you're not able to provide the security on that particular distribution group, because on the distribution groups you're not able to apply the security. If you want to apply the permissions, so you need to create a security group. And then last one, we have a built-in group which is automatically created. So if I'm showing you in the servers, so we have so many built-in groups. Like if I click on users over there, or click on built-in over there, as you can see that we have so many built-in groups are there. So as you can see, we have account operators, administrators, backup operators, okay, Hyper-V administrators. These are the built-in groups. So like if you want to define any admin rights to users, so we can add the users in these groups. So like if I add any user in this Hyper-V administrator, so this user is able to manage Hyper-V servers. If I add any user in this group, so the user is able to manage backups, able to take the backups. Like if I add any user in this account operator groups, user is able to manage your user accounts or groups. Okay, so user is able to create a new users, delete the users, create groups, all these things. If I add a particular user to an administrator group, so it means the user is automatically becoming a administrator. So that user is able to manage complete domain network. If I add user in a particular like print operators, so this user is able to manage the printers. Like if you have a multiple printers in your domain network, so that user is able to manage it. Now how we can add it? Simple, like we have a user 3. If I want to add it, so simple, I just right click to this group and go to properties. Over there we have the members option is also there. Click on members and click on add. Now add the username. So my username is user 3 and check names. As you can see that, click on OK. So now user 3 is a member of account operators group. So now user 3 is able to manage user accounts and groups now onwards. If you want to remove it, so simple, click on user 3 and remove, and click on yes and click on apply. Now user 3 is not able to manage now users and groups like this. Okay, so this is what we have, the built-in groups. Now apart from that, we have a group scopes also. We have a types of, I'll showing you these two types of groups as well. Once I'm going to get a groups or types of group scopes. Now in that we have one is domain local, second one is universal, and third one is global, like this. Okay, so second one is global, as you can see that, and third one is universal, like this. Okay, so now we'll talk about the domain local. So like imagine we have imagine I have a two domains. This is my domain 1 and we have another domain like this. Okay, and now these two domains connected with each other like this with the help of WAN connection. This is the WAN link, and this is my domain 1. You can see that domain 1, and this is my domain 2. We have two domain networks. Okay, now imagine that I'm going to create, and these two domain networks connected together like this with a WAN link. Now imagine that I'm going to create one user over one group over there. Like imagine I'm going to create a group 1 over there, and I can define it is a domain local DL group. DL means domain local. Okay, now this group is only works in domain 1. So domain local means that the group where it's created in the particular domain or a present domain, it works only that domain only. Like imagine if I create another group 2, and it's created in the domain network 2, and it's a domain local, so it's only work in the domain network 2. So it means with the help of that group we able to access only domain network 2 resources. Okay, so like this. So like if I'm a member of group 1 and the group 1 is a domain local group, so this group is only able to access the domain network 1 resources. This group is not able to access the domain network 2 resources. This is what we have, the domain local. If I convert this group to global, we can convert it also. Like imagine now I can change the scope for this group. Now this group is becoming a global. So what happens in that case? Now this group is able to access all the domain networks resources within the forest, within your organization. Okay, so like imagine if you create this group in the like over there in domain network 1, so this group is able to access domain network 2 resources as well. because these two domains are working in the same organization, same forest. Understood? This is what we have the difference between domain local and global. Now universal is also the same thing. Universal also, like if I convert this group scope as a universal, so universal also, it works in the same forest also, and it works in the different forest also. Like if you have a different forest and you are collaborate those two forests, like we have a Microsoft.com and we have a Nokia.com. Now these two companies has collaboration, so we can use the universal. And universal gives you one feature also, that is known as UCMA, Universal Group Membership, sorry, Universal Group Caching, Membership Caching, UGMC, sorry, Universal Group Membership Caching. This is the feature provided by the universal groups. Okay, but there is a difference between these three scopes. We have a domain local, global, and universal. So we can define these groups while I'm going to create the groups. So I'll showing you how we can do that. So like if I right now I'm a server, like I'm click on users and I'm going to create a group. So I right click over there and click on new, and we have the option groups. Okay, now click on groups. We have the option, as you can see, group name is, I give IT. Okay, IT group. And as you can say that we have the option group scope, domain local, global, or universal. So by default all the group is automatically becoming a global. Okay, if you want to go for domain local, simple click on domain local. Now click on global, and then types of group, security or distribution. So I click on OK, security. So you can see that, see, IT group is created. Now if you want to change the scope, you can go to properties of this group, and we have the option group scopes and group types. Now you can see domain local is not visible. Now if you want to visible this domain local, just click on universal and click on apply. Now this time domain local is visible. Okay, now click on global again and click on apply. Now domain local is not there. Now if you want to change the secure group type, click on distribution, click on apply like this, click on yes. Now this group is automatically becoming a distribution group. Now I go for security, click on yes. Okay, so like this. Now we can add the users also. Like if you right click to this group and go to properties, over there we have the option members, and you can add the users in this members tab, or you can right click to the user and we have the add to group option is there. Like imagine I want that user one is, I want that user one is, I want to add the user in the IT group. I want to add user one in the IT group. So click on right click to the user one, and we have the option add group, and over there we can define the group name. So like I have group name is IT and check names. So it automatically take the complete name of the group and click on OK. Now you can see that the add to group operation was successfully completed. Now you can check, right click to the group, go to properties and click on members. Over there you can see that user one is a member of this group. If you want to remove it, simple select the user and click on remove, click on yes and apply. Now user one is no longer is a member of group one, IT group, like this. Okay, this is what we have the groups. Now next we have a we understand groups, we have a OUs. Now OU is also a container. Okay, now if we talk about the OU, so OU is also a container. Okay, so if I talk about OU, so it is also a container. Okay, it is used to maintain user accounts, user and computer accounts, both. Okay, now with the help of OU, now you can understand. Now you ask me that what is the difference between group and OU? Like both are the containers. Okay, so with the help of group we apply the permissions. Remember these things. So with the help of group, you can say that I write over there, with the help of group, with the help of group we apply the permissions only. Which kind of permissions? NTFS permissions, like read, write, modify, execute, like this. Okay, so with the help of group we apply the permissions, NTFS permissions only, NTFS permissions. Okay, it's related to your file system, like this. But with the help of OU we apply the policies. With the help of OU we apply the group policies on user and computer accounts. Simple as that. Okay, so permissions is a separate thing. Permission is read, write, modify, execute, like this, and policies is like, imagine that my user is not able to access run command. While my user is logging in my client, my user is not able to access run command, or my user is not able to shut down my computer, or my user is not able to install any program in my computer, in my client. So we can restrict the users and computer accounts too with the help of group policies. So if you want to apply the policies, we can use OUs. If you want to apply the policy, if you want to apply the permissions, we can use groups. Now more difference is OU is only works in domain network. Remember these things. OU is only works in domain network. Remember these things. But if we talk about the group, so group works in both the environment, whether it's a OU or whether it's a domain or a work group. So group is work with both the network, work group and domain. Remember these things. It's a key point, as you can see that. Okay, so this is what we have. The group is work with both network and both the networks, work group and domain network, and OU is only works in domain network. You're not able to create the OUs in the work group, but we can create the groups in the work group. We have a local groups. Okay, like this. This is what we have, the difference between groups and OUs. If you want to create a OU, simple. Like now, if I am going to create a OU, so if I right click to the users, over there click on new, so we're not able to find any OU option in that. If I want to create the OU, I just right click to my abc.local domain name and then click on new, and we have the option organizational unit. The full form of OU is organization unit. Or we can create over there also. If you click on domain controllers and click on new, we have the option organization unit. But if I want to create users, right click to the users and click on new, and over there we're not able to see. So if I want to create OUs, I just right click to my abc.local and click on new and OU. Now I create the OU is IT OU. Okay, now it's they give you the option protect container from accidental deletion. We have this option also. Like if you check this option, so even administrator also not able to delete this container, this OU. I'll showing you. Like if I check this option, click on OK. Now we have a IT OU. Now if I want to delete this OU, so if I right click over there and I'm trying to delete, see, are you sure you want to delete this OU? Click on yes, and you don't have sufficient privileges to delete IT OU. See, even administrator also not able to delete this OU now, because this OU is protected with accidental deletion. Now what if you want to delete this OU? So what you can do, you click on view, and over there we have the option advanced features. Click on advanced features. Now you need to click on right click to the OU and click on properties. Over there we have the option object, and we have the option over there protect object from accidental deletion. Now uncheck this option and click on apply and OK. Now click on view and uncheck this advanced features. Now you're able to delete it. I right click over there, click on delete and click on yes. See, so it's a very cool feature, protect object against accidental deletion. Okay, so now again I'm going to right click to the new, and we have the use OU. Now I'm going to create another OU, IT, same name, IT OU, and click on OK. Now you can see that my IT OU is created. Now I want to move the users also. Like I click on the users, we have the user 1 and user 2, and I want to move these users in IT OU. Right click over there and we have the option move, and you can see that we can choose the OU where you want to move it, IT OU. Click on OK. Now you can see that both the users are move in IT OU. Now with the help of this OU we apply the policies. We can create the group policies and we can apply the policies. So once I apply any policy on this OU, that policy automatically apply to both the users. Okay, this is what we have, the OU. The last object we have is, so we understand OU as well. Now the last object is sites. So now in sites, what is the meaning of site? Is site is physical location. Like imagine we have a I have a company named abc.local or abc.com or something, and like imagine I have a 3 locations in India. My company has 3 locations. Now I want to manage all these 3 locations with the help of domain controller. We able to do that with the help of sites. Okay, so if I want to manage my multiple locations, so like if I showing you like this, like imagine that we have a 3 locations like this. This is the location 1, site 1. As you can see that we have a site means physical locations. Like we have a 3 locations like this, and we have a one WAN link. This is my site 1. We can say that we have a site 2, and we have a site 3, and we have a WAN link. Okay, and now we are going to connect these sites with the help of this WAN link like this. Okay, fine. Now I want to like imagine that my domain controller is running over there. Okay, I have a DC and it's running in the site 1. Now with the help of this domain controller, I can imagine we are using abc.local domain. Okay, now with the help of site 1, with the help of this site 1 DC, I'm able to manage all the sites. So we are able to do that with the help of sites and services. So in our server, like you have, if I showing you in my server, we have a component name. I close this one. You go to start, admin tools. Over there we have site and services, Active Directory site and services. Once I click on it, over there you can see that we have site and services component. If I expand it over there, we have a default first site name. So by default, one site is automatically created once you're going to get a domain controller. So as you can see that the default site name is default first site name. It's a default site which is automatically created, and your domain controller is running in this site. See, if I expand this servers, and over there this shows me this is my domain controller. This is my domain controller, and it's running in the default first site name. So if we have a multiple sites, we can move this domain controller to the multiple sites also. Like imagine I want that I don't want to use default first site name. I'm going to create a site name. Like imagine I'm going to get a new site, site 1, and I want to move this domain controller in site 1. So we can do that with the help of site and services. So with the help of site and services, we are able to manage our physical locations over there. Okay, we are able to replicate, we are able to see each and everything over there. Okay, so this is what we have the concept of sites. Okay, we learn this sites more deeply in upcoming lectures. So understand that site and services is a tool through which we are able to manage our multiple physical locations. So these are the 5 AD objects we have.